Looking at Bitcoin from last night, we definitely invalidated the uptrend, and you can see that we pulled back right into the red box. Now, this red box was drawn here for a multitude of reasons. We have the 44.8 resistance turned support back here. We consolidated or got stuck at it multiple times, so we just back tested that as well. And then we have the bull market support band. There's a few different things here for 44K. There's fibs here, whatever you want to use. But the primary reason I drew it was there was a fib, and again, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name correctly. It's Non. He says that I could say it that way, so that's what I'm gonna say. Non. And then Crypto Kamikaze said it's not Ngoyen, it's Wen. So his name is Non Wen. I'm assuming that's how you say it, so I apologize if it's incorrect. But he highlighted that the bull market support band is down there. So that's why I put the red box down there. Because there's just a multitude of support, and you can see that we actually did back test it. So, as of now, I still consider us bullish because everything's lining up to be bullish. The weekly or the daily MACD is flipping red, which is not the best sign. If you flip it to the weekly, we are still flipping up to the upside. And once again, I do have my settings changed to 535.5. Again, I can't remember everybody's names, but you guys are really helping me upgrade, my trading sheet because I'd still be drawing fibs from from 3,000 up here trying to find us where we are. But in my opinion, everything's kind of looking good here. I think the biggest thing here to distinguish from the previous drops is, also that's a big wick to see, which is a good sign. And there's a lot of people on the sidelines right now. So, one thing to distinguish though from this sell-off versus previous sell-offs is in fact that altcoins are actually pushing higher. So Phantom just pushed up for a new high. Solana is pushing up for a new high. Even ICP is holding up pretty well. Another altcoin obviously was, let's look at Waves. Oh, actually, Aave's ripping right now. So Aave still looks good of all coins. We know Aave's been basically a turd for the past year. And the reason for that is because it rallied 400x. If you look at the Aave BTC chart, Engine still pushed back up to its high. If we flip back over to this, I have a list of coins that aren't doo-doo. We can look at H bar. H bar actually got hit pretty hard. RSR pushing up for a new high. Engine we just looked at. Let's see what else we got here. OXT is actually holding up well. I always call it a piece of shit. Zilliqa pushing back up. Bounced right off the 618 and made a new high last night. Yep. What's another one? There was another one. Oh, obviously Waves. Waves is still holding up very well. VeChain as well. Just back tested the 618. So a lot of these coins don't look bad at all. So Ren is another one. It's still holding up near the high. So a lot of these coins, everybody's like saying, "Oh, bear market," which I get it, but I don't get it because I just don't see how we're bearish. I mean, the altcoins are pushing higher as Bitcoin's dropping, and this is a good sign. Another thing that I wanted to highlight was we were looking at it last night in the Discord, and I pulled this up. If you do actually pull up, the buying and selling pressure, I think this is something that's really interesting. If you do look at Crow, which is a lot of people have Crow, all throughout the 2020 bear market or 2019, 2020 bear market, I just want to get rid of this because I think I'm more of a fan of the other one now. What's really interesting here is all throughout this bear market, you can see that the selling pressure has basically decreased throughout this drop into 2020, something like this. Now, albeit we only have 2 points to plot, so it's not necessarily, we can't run to the moon and say, oh, look, the selling pressure dropped, now we're bullish. But, it's fair to say that the selling pressure was decreasing and we rallied to the upside, even though the price was going down. And we see the same thing here, where you zoom in here, and even though we're dropping, the selling pressure is also dropping, and we're making lower highs. So in my opinion, I think this tells me that we're setting up for another big ass pump like this, basically like back here, where maximum buyers are going to step in because once the selling pressure subsides like it did back here, there's nowhere else for us to go but up, because once the selling pressure stops, as you can see it's slowing down, the big ass green buying pressure is going to spawn in, and that would send us much higher. So I think Crow, I mean, there's a lot of coins that look like this, I would imagine, but I only looked at Crow because we were looking at coins that aren't turds. So I would imagine Crow is basically going to have a very similar move to this one. But all in all, across the board, I really don't have a changed opinion from yesterday. We're still bullish, in my opinion. I mean, you can see the same thing here. Every time we dip, the selling pressure is decreasing on Bitcoin, and the buying pressure is actually still kicking in bullish. Um, and one last thing that I also wanted to highlight. Yeah, you can see every time we're dropping, the selling pressure is decreasing. So that wasn't the case here, right? So we had selling pressure coming in at the top, but you actually put in a higher high on the selling pressure, or I guess you could say a lower low on the selling pressure, which is bearish. But higher high as in more sellers. We made a higher low, or excuse me, there's more selling pressure here than there was up here, but that's not the same case here. You're seeing increasing, or you're seeing decreasing selling pressure. So once again, I think we're going to flip to the upside. Basically something like back here where we just get a bunch of people come in out of nowhere, and then we basically moon. So, but that's just a couple of things I want to highlight. We could pull this down. We don't need it every single time, but yeah, I mean nothing has really changed from last night except for the price. We're still over this red box. The one thing I will say that's extremely bearish is if we do get rejected at this area, then I would imagine we would come back down to 44.4 again, and then if we ever fall below this 40,000, I would say that's really bearish because then we would kind of start free falling down here. The lowest we can go, in my opinion, is 41.6. Any lower than 41.6, and we're basically cooked. But the primary move, we're already moving back up. So I would imagine Bitcoin over 46K is extremely bullish because at that point in time, the weekly candle would basically look, it would look extremely bullish. So all in all, the line in the sand here is 44K. There's so much support down there. We really need to hold 44K to remain bullish. And once if we do take out 44K, then obviously we'll revisit, something like this. But other than that, I would still say we're still bullish. If we look at ES, the pullback on ES finally came out. Finally, you can say pullback, pullback, pullback every single day, and eventually you'll be right. So we got the pullback to the 7.8 to the 618. If we take out this 618, then I would imagine the 0.5 is next. Any lower than the 0.5, and it's bearish, but as of now, it is still a healthy pullback. And the 10-year Treasury is once again rising. So I don't want to make the video too long. I could yap all day. So that's pretty much it. Best of luck. As always, it's just my opinion. None of this is financial advice. You always have to do what's best for you. So I would say as long as we're over 44K, we're still bullish. Break below 44K, and I would start being worried if we move back down to 41.5. So best of luck. Just my opinion, and none of this is financial advice.